Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtrothy, and I just want to come to you real quick with the World News article for the Minmatar Republic Liberation Day event. So I'll be reading through it and discussing anything that comes to mind as I do. It's relatively short, and then we have a list of other events, which of course is where all of the real news always is. So let's jump straight into it. Minmatar Republic celebrates Liberation Day, YC123. Matar Pater. Vast numbers of Minmatar across the Republic are celebrating the 143rd anniversary of the start of the Great Rebellion before YC20. The festivities are being accompanied by nearly 2 weeks of celebratory liberation games, in which the 7 tribes capsuleers will compete for the honor of determining which tribe will control a new station in orbit of Matar for the first year of operations. The Tribal Council has determined that the new station to mark the Minmatar Liberation will have its administration determined each year in the games. So that means that this Liberation Day event is going to be happening each year, and that station is going to switch to whoever the winner is of each year. So for those of you that are like, Starkmanir need a station for forever, like it won't be forever. It'll only be as long as the Starkmanir remain victors. The Tribal Council has also ordered a broadcast of an address by Samatar Malakushakor, including a holovisual representation of the scene from the old Minmatar Empire, Amar invasion and occupation, and the Great Rebellion. Minmatar archaeologists, historians, and cultural experts were heavily involved in the creation of the holovid by the Republic's top cinematic circle, the Garolo Light Painters. As often in the past, Minmatar capsuleers are holding their own celebratory events today, which would have been Saturday, beginning in the Pater system at 1730 on New Eden Standard Time. This was put on by Ursha Khan and Alexis Matari, 2 old and storied RP player groups. As with the previous Liberation Day celebrations, a number of fleets representing the 7 tribes of Matar have assembled in parade formations across Minmatar space. Participants in the festivities are free to visit these fleets and celebrate with fireworks. The Liberation Games themselves are also include a tour of key sites in the history of the Great Rebellion and the Minmatar Republic, including the Eternal Flame and the site of the final victory at the Battle of Fort Kavad. The Tribal Council's new orbital caravanserai have also been completed, with a memorial statue to the late Ray of Matar, Prime Minister, and Sebaster Chief Karen Midgeler under construction. The Bruder tribe have also sponsored and begun construction of a statue of the late Captain Karashol Murator, former Republic Fleet Commander and leader of the Defiance Freedom Fighter Group. This is a very interesting political situation. I didn't even know how big of a deal this was until I heard Arcia talk about this. This really talks about the core conflict within the Minmatar prior to all of the disruptions from everything from sleepers to Triglavians to drifters to everybody. Before all that, there was this conflict between these different leaders within the Minmatar Republic and what it meant for this, the leader of the Minmatar to go up against this rebel leader and who was right. So this is an older battle or older wound between even the player base that they're picking at by putting up these statues. So it's a kind of fun piece, and we'll see if that leads anywhere since these statues aren't complete yet. Liberation Games events includes special semi-holographic environments and combat drones designed to enact key battles from the Great Rebellion, the Battle of On Air, and the Mati Jailbreak. Participants in these sites will play the part of the Minmatar rebels, and other sites celebrate the efforts of the Minmatar resistance fighters to gain essential intelligence on Amar operations during the rebellion. That's the hacking sites. In addition, the Tribal Council intends to authorize those who have completed the tour of the Minmatar history to enter into the Proving Grounds as part of the Liberation Games. Sources close to Samatar Malakushakor suggest that the tenuous and erratic diplomatic contact with the Triglavian Collective has been attempted and led to an opportunity to show the Triglavians what the Minmatar capsuleer fighters can do. That's interesting. The scope sources indicate that an abyssal proving grounds using Rifter-class frigates in a glorification proven will open on July 16th. Members of the Minmatar military circles who sent troops and pilots to support Edencom efforts during the invasion are reported to have reacted to this development with mixed views. In one bizarre incident following the news, a Kuhn displaying a holographic image of Edencom logo was planted on the grounds of the Great Caravanserai with a message in Kol Brutor script tied to the haft reading, "We have already shown the Trigs what we can do." Woof! That's a reference to the fact that the Triglavian invasion was famously just whooped in the Minmatar space for a long time, and there was 0 victories in Minmatar space until the very end. Occupation and border tensions in Amarr Minmatar war zone. Despite the ongoing occupation of numerous Minmatar systems in the militia war zone by the Amarr forces, with fresh gains recently scored by the 24th Imperial Crusade, the Tribal Council's order to reinforce key planets and bases is being carried out as best it can by stealth and light squadrons of ships. The role of the Thucker tribe in delivering essential supplies via wormholes and drops to Flosun 4 has been noted in particular. Operations on Flosun 4 itself continues as remaining Amarr forces continue guerrilla action supported by drops from the Imperial Navy and occasional bombing operations. Remember, Flosun 4 has been kind of out of their control since Chakad lost it a couple of years ago. Minmatar, the besieged planets of Flosun 4 remain a matter of serious concern to the Republic military planners, as intelligence indicates continued rebuilding of the Amarr fleets and their deployment to positions along the border. Republic fleet forces are themselves building up in the Amo, Horor, and Abdon Odatrik defensive zones. Tensions are also remain high in the border of the Amatar Mandate, with the highly militarized Adasur and Kanobanala systems reinforced by the Minmatar Republic and Amarr Empire respectively. So it might be interesting to go there to see whether or not those forces are actually in space. They often are. Amarr conduct over Flosun 4 continues to divide military experts, with outside observers unclear on the driving force behind continued interest on the planet. The opaque politics of this imperial court has become even more difficult to analyze, and the ongoing hunt for heretics and subversives occupies the ruling nobility. House Sorum and House Artichaper have notably increased their military forces and established a number of new bases, with cooperation at an all-time high between the two powers that has often been rivals for influence over militant and traditionalist factions of the Amarr Empire. Probably because they're both in on the conspiracy. Order of St. Tentramon. Might want to look into it. Okay. In other news, royal heirs of Khador and Khorazor families order review and security and trade between house territories. Queen Zidrez Khanid arrives and parses RKN base to oversee Royal Duchy of Fayoka. RKN would be Royal Khanid Navy. This is the Queen of the Khanid people. House Tashmerkon launches Stain Region surveying program in partnership with Paladin Surveying Force. This is related to the fact that they just got a gate to Stain, and so Tashmerkon's kind of pushing their forces into Stain. It'll be interesting to see whether or not that ends up with conflict with Sanchez Nation. Acting CEP Chair Akimaka Saraki calls for end of emergency restrictions on Caldari citizens. This is going to be a big one, because this has been kind of the big concern within the Caldari state, the tensions that have been rising. We have Hasiota and Wiakomi corporations join Ishikone in lifting all emergency restrictions. So this group, Hasiota, Wiakomi, and Ishikone, they lifted the restrictions. We will continue to watch to see if any of the PKN actors, which would be Nogahuvi, Lidai, or CBD, if any of them, or how they react to these things, because those have kind of been the super sus group recently. Senator Belleron files a case at Supreme Court after documents leaked supporting veto of capital punishment abolition bill. So recently, Celis Agard managed to secure a whole bunch of funding, or basically won all of her political battles without having to deal with this capital punishment abolition bill, and ended up, I think, vetoing it, which was a big deal for the senator because they got it passed before her election. This is just Galente politics stuff. Basically, the short of it is that Celis Agard is winning support over her political enemies by making friends with border systems, like the edge systems under threat and contention, such as Intaki. Kabar terraforming project reports accelerated. Oh, NB Jolly, thank you for joining us down the rabbit hole, Jeep Online. Immortal. Trade between Solitude and other Galente regions up 17% following the opening of Eglehorn to Kenrick Stargate. That is, that's the new Solitude gate that was just opened. Kabar terraforming projects reported accelerated timetable, possibly thanks to capsular resource harvesting. This is related to the we had the terraforming project that was going on during Liberation Day, which is kind of the justification of the Resource Wars event returning for Liberation Day. Just like we have the creation of the statues as justification for the Liberation Day, or sorry, Federation Day. So we had the construction or the terraforming project as part of that came as part of Liberation Day, or Federation Day for the Glente, and now we have the statues for Liberation Day. So this is saying that the Resource Wars or the mining blitz sites that were ran for Federation Day helped support the creation of the or increase the timetable of this terraforming project. Cool. Republic Security Services object to demands from Edencom to share contact intelligence on Triglavians. This continues to be a question of whether or not Edencom is just a front for Amar intelligence to gain information from the Minmatar. They seem to be quite reluctant to work with Edencom for various reasons. Republic Justice Department raids terrorist cell in Matar City. Sources indicate an EOM affiliated. More crackdowns of the Equilibrium of Mankind. Sekal Clan troop transports spotted arriving in force on Inner 6 as Crucifer Angel Cartel gang war continues. This is a very deep storyline that I don't even feel like touching at the moment. I don't know enough about it. Intara Direct Action report raid on Ojidin Garissa Space claims evidence of Inserum smuggling and human trafficking. This is the Garissas are part of an ongoing problem. It could be the Garissas are working with the Angels. Inserum is, of course, related to the drug that is used by the Minmatar to free themselves. So this could be a piece of that. But also the Garissas are going head-to-head against the PKN mega corporations quite a bit. So this could be kind of a counter propaganda. Hard to say. I need to look into the entire Direct Actions loyalties. Intaki Space Police thwart plot to assassinate Felix N. Karashi, head of the EZA FN Tech FN Station Cooperative. Serpentis deny involvement. I don't know much about that, but that's so the Serpentis may be attempting to assassinate that. If something happens to Intaki, that could be a powder keg, especially given the fact that Celis Agard is really using the Intaki to gain political leverage. Pro-Triglavian Capsuleers continue to fight for Clades and Poshfin following the Scorched Earth policy of structures. Hey, look, the Triglavians destroyed all their structures. Head of Federal Marines Intelligence testified to Senate on Triglavian subversion in certitude and whatever. These places under threat. Not sure where this is going to go yet. Testimony on Veil. Widespread use of coercive psychology techniques by Velis Clade despite collaboration by planetary governments. So the planetary governments of Veil famously kind of just was... When Velis Clade stepped in, they were just like, "Oh, look, there's a new government. There's a new federation to be part of. Cool. We'll just be part of the Veil now, or we'll now be part of Velez. That's cool." But this shows that that wasn't good enough for Velez. They're still basically transforming them. Derail is their anti-AI development team. Extreme Environment Commandos who conducts counter-subversion actions in all colonies and Ugali Storm Planets 3, 4, and 6. There is some player stuff going on with this, but this Ugali's and Derail thing keeps kicking up. Counter-subversion actions, Extreme Environment Commandos, and it happening here. It makes me wonder whether or not this is associated with the Triglavians and them using Storm Planets for their colonies. But we'll have to see where this plays out. Caldari resistances on Como and Sakenta reported launching simultaneous operations against Peruglade Bioadaptation centers. This is kind of spooky because Como is, I think, the Peruglade holding. It's one of the 3 homes, and it's also one of the only homes with stations, if I'm remembering correctly. And the bioadaptation centers are the stations. So rather than hey CCP, you should add stations to the other 2 homes. This might even be a threat that they might be taking away the stations that exist in the one home system that is there, which is weird, but might be worth considering, I guess. All right, so let's catch up. That is the news for this, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. And so if this is for the YouTube, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.